the real value of Business Central is that ecosystem that they've got. It's quite a unique ERP solution. Hi, I'm Jason.
Hi, I'm Will. So we've mentioned that AI today is the worst it'll ever be, but it is massively powerful. So, Jason, how is AI changing the use of ERP in businesses?
ERP is a concept that's been around for quite a long time now, and essentially ERP is a very big filing cabinet that does some bits for you. It processes, or it allows you to process some transactions. So when you think about it, it's quite dated in what it does. I think the major change in relation to ERP that we will see is agents, and I think agents are tools that can automate process and validate data within that process. I think we'll start to see agents across the whole ERP platform. I guess starting in finance, that tends to be a good place to start, and a very obvious place to start. Bank reconciliations we can do, processing orders we can do. So that's kind of the obvious stuff, and I think the parts of ERP that consume a lot of human time that can easily be replaced by an agent. But then we can start to look at, well, how can it be used elsewhere within the ERP user base, and setting up contracts, processing contracts. I think transport management is a very, very good place to go. We've worked for many years with clients where we've introduced route optimization, but that has been based on old kind of almost bubble sort kind of technology, very dated, whereas AI now is coming and really changing that arena in a very rapid way. Stock management and control, especially when it's linked to pricing and valuations, that can be very, very useful. Using AI to actually map market needs back through your treatment and your different types of treatments, and then all the way back to sales as well, where sales or purchasing may be going out, and you're really wanting to dynamically change your sales and marketing approach to reflect what's happening at the other end of the process. And that's where AI, I think, the intelligence of AI in terms of machine learning and data and building those complex algorithms to get really good answers is very powerful. But fundamentally, agentic ERP is what will be really powerful, I think, in the future in terms of bringing efficiencies and growth into the industry.
Do you think ERP, or even when you're talking about route optimization softwares, do you think they, like us, will feel the need to change in the new world and maybe work towards the new rich technology, applying this in our products and working on the performance factors and things like this?
Absolutely, and I think we're very fortunate with Tegos Suite. Tegos Suite, based on a Microsoft platform, puts us in an extremely strong position. And there's other ERP software applications out there in the market, even for the waste and recycling industry, that don't have that major benefit. And what I found with Microsoft, I've been working with Microsoft now since the acquisition of Navision, which was back in 2002, I think it was. And what I've always experienced with Microsoft is they're amazingly good at taking massively complex, sophisticated technology and democratizing it, taking it down to a price point that we can all afford, that standard industry can afford. So it's quite amazing how being on a Microsoft platform benefits us. And I've always said with working with Microsoft that they overload us. Their investment in R&D is so massive. They throw all of this at us, at Tegos, and our job is to turn that into tools that can add value to our customers and for them to add value to their customers. And that's something we're very, very passionate about.
And it's also a good time for us because Microsoft's R&D is going towards Business Central for the last few years. and that's almost, I'd say, their primary source in terms of ERP world of developing and making it better. And you can see it every single release, major release. There's new features, there's better performance. They're making all of these changes, and they're available for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely right. I think Microsoft are a little bit, they're very quick to invest in the nav technology and the vision technology back in the day, but I think it's taken them a little bit of time to actually realise the true value of it. And the real value of Business Central is that ecosystem that they've got. It's quite a unique ERP solution. I don't think there's anything else out there that has anywhere near the number of ISV add-ons, industry add-ons, that Microsoft have now got within that whole ecosystem of Business Central. Well, I think we're all aware of the power with AI and what it could be capable of. I remember quite a long time ago now talking to a business owner when he was looking at investing in systems, and his priority was to grow his business quickly, and he wanted basically IT systems to be quicker, basically to process things quicker. And when we started to look at his processes, they were flawed in many, many ways. And but his priority was just make it quicker, make it faster. And my argument was, well, if we make it quicker, faster, but it's wrong, you're just going to go out of business quicker. That's all you're going to get. And I think it's there should be concerns around AI in terms of control and governance, which we're going to talk about. Quite a few years ago now, 2 or 3 years ago, there was this concept of citizen developers, and it scared the hell out of me that you're suddenly going to be allowing anyone within your business to develop workflows and Power Automate flows and
Low
all
code.
of that. So yeah, that kind of stuff. But Microsoft put a lot of governance around that, or gave us the tools to build governance around it that would mean it will protect the base of the customer or the business. How does governance apply to AI? Because I imagine it comes from different directions and is multi-layered.
Yeah, I mean, but in the same way with automation and you say system development, low code applications, that sort of piece from a couple of years ago, it all comes under the same umbrella, which is really just a control. And I think that the key point of governance is that it shouldn't be a blocker. It should always be an enabler to innovation. It should always be, you have it in place to make people's lives easier, and so they don't feel the need to go outside of that umbrella and go and do something themselves secretly, or not secretly or not. So there's a few key pillars, I guess you could say, of governance, which helps it enable instead of block. And for us in Tegos, as the example, we spoke previously to the Nunc guys here, and that ease of access of Nunc being for every user and across the user base, that really helps, because it means that users are less likely to go and find the AI tools or models that they want to use, because we've given them one that's good enough for them to use straight away off the bat. They don't have to think about, oh, well, I could go and use this, or maybe I'll use ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. No, they go into Nunc and then they choose within that.
Those users that are in danger of going doing their own thing, they're not the rebels. They're just trying to do things better, aren't they? They're trying to make life easy for them and the business.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the point. AI can bring value and benefits to people and users, and the person who does their job is the person who will know themselves, okay, well, I can get benefit out of this area or this approach. And that's another piece which we've done well at Tegos, which is we take someone like myself, and I'm looking across departments, across people, across processes, and speaking to the users and seeing where their blockers are and how I can help them, and how maybe their problems are actually very similar to different departments. And so we can make sure that we're applying technology and transforming processes to align within departments, and make sure that, yes, it's all controlled and we have experts considering all the different factors, but it also being aligned.
Yep, and through governance, it should be documented. There should be logs of where AI is being used. It should be auditable and periodically reviewed. And we talked earlier about the importance when you introduce AI of constantly evaluating its use. So that's where governance can help. It can get that structure in place so that we know these process owners have this use of AI, and this is when it was last.
And I mean, it does come back, I guess, to a strategic level as well. The strategy of the business and the culture really has to facilitate it. That you mentioned there, almost feedback loops. And if someone feels the need that maybe it's not NUNC, maybe it's a different program, but if it's something that's under control and available to them, but doesn't do what they want, well, if they have the ability to say, I want something different, I want to be able to do this. And if we can get into those loops and go into almost a continuous improvement process of, okay, well, you want this to be available and so do you. Well, let's talk about this and see what could work for everyone. And making sure that, as is with the technology itself, that you're not limited to static governance and staying in place. You need to move and adapt along with the technology.
Well, I think, I mentioned earlier the barriers to entry for AI are really, very low in terms of, cost and availability and all of that. But, with our governance hats on, there is some risk attached to it. We can, companies can get it wrong. They can lose control. Where can we help at Tegos? What consultancy services or training can we provide?
Well, I mean, internally as well, we've been through this process of rolling out AI training and making sure that everyone is at that equal playing field and they know what they shouldn't do, what they can do, what's available to them. And there's two parts really, isn't there? There's all of these opportunities which they might not even be aware of, but then also the risks that you do have to talk about. And that service and general AI consultancy as well is available from Tegos in the form of AI consultants.
And there's still that fear in some people, a small percentage of people now, isn't there, of AI and introducing AI to their job?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And it might be that as business owners or business leaders, they might think that people in their business don't use AI to do their jobs. But I would say that they should not be so sure. I think it's so widely available, and it doesn't have to be application based. It could just be through browsers. They could just use their phones to ask questions. I think that it's made it so commonly available that having this sort of level of governance and oversight is really worth talking about.
Okay, great. So the key message here is we need to engage with our customers and help them on this journey, but we're very, very keen to keep them on the right path if possible.
Thank you for watching. Please check out our articles on these topics and let's continue these conversations.